Hi, welcome to Infocomm 2024. I'm Prakash, CEO and GM of our enterprise business at Logitech. I'm joined today with Illya. Thank you, Illya. Illya is the Vice President of Microsoft Teams and Calling at Microsoft. Thank you for joining us, Illya.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate being here. Always appreciate spending time with you and the great partnership with Logitech.
Yeah, I was just reflecting on our partnership. It's been many years, and of course, you have built an amazing business with Microsoft Teams and over 320 million Teams accounts, and over 1 million Microsoft Team Room. So just tell us a little bit about the partnership. What do you think about our partnership here?
Well, the partnership is amazing as a story in the industry. I think I still remember. We kind of both formed as companies the same view where we thought, look, the experience people have in meeting rooms is just too complicated. For me, I remember an aha moment. I was visiting a VTC vendor. They were trying to use their own VTCs to connect to one of our Skype for Business meetings, and it took about half an hour on their own equipment. And I thought, boy, the experience has to be better. It's got to be consistent, and it really should be an experience that's about the service. And I was meeting with some folks from Logitech who at the same time said, what if Skype ran on the device?
Exactly, yeah.
And from there came what was called Project Rigel and is now Teams Room. So as I like to joke, 1 million rooms later, I think we're delivering on the vision.
Yeah, and you've been on quite a trajectory. I think, just a little while ago, there was few rooms, and then we started this partnership with you 8 years ago, but really the pandemic really poured onto this. People realized that they had to change the way they work. And, you've seen this real inflection point. Just tell us a little bit about, what's top of mind for you, what's coming next.
Yeah. Well, it definitely has been humbling. As you said, during the pandemic, customers really looked to us to help run their business in a completely different way. Now we're in this interesting world where there are two monumental change waves still in play. One is hybrid work or connected workplace, whatever term you want to use it. It's a different way of working than a few years ago. And at the same time, we have this AI wave that is the fastest wave of innovation and technology change, at least in my 30 years.
Yeah.
My guess is at Microsoft, my guess is ever.
Yeah.
So when you combine these two, I think what's top of mind for me is, one, enabling customers to meet their goals of rapidly deploying great experiences. So removing friction, increasing speed of deployment with things like CoPilot for Teams rooms. Two, enabling great AI-powered experiences in every space, making CoPilot great, enabling every Teams room to know who said what. And then three is looking to the future to where the experience becomes not just good, but actually ideal.
Yeah.
And that means people should really have a completely sort of seamless trade-off between, do I want to come to the office today because I want to interact with Prakash?
Yeah.
Do I want to be remote because I have things to do at home? Whatever I choose, I know that I'm going to be seen, heard, known, and I'm going to have this sort of extra coworker always available to help me in the form of, in our case, CoPilot.
Yeah, no, it's super fascinating. And we just enabled Multistream with CoPilot. And it's in our booths actually as a demo.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of one of those moments where it was like, is it really happening already? And it does feel really surreal in some ways for us to see this happen with you guys. So.
That is such a huge step forward, and I want to commend you for doing that because, we're still not quite to where that experience when many of us together are in a room is as good or better than when we're all remote. And a key part of that is multi-stream video. For those that don't know, multi-stream video is very simply making sure everyone is seen and framed perfectly. So when you're sitting in a room with a Logi Rally and other Logi devices, if there's multiple of us there should be a frame with my face, your face, so that we sort of each get as much equal real estate.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we can, of course, recognize and attribute every speaker so that the transcript says, here's what Illya said, here's what Prakash said. Both of those things combined create that ideal hybrid meeting experience and help to have that ideal CoPilot transcript, summary, and intelligence.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for those of you listening as well, Logitech Sight is our sort of the industry first front and center room camera, works with Microsoft Teams and actually amplifies this idea of like inclusive meetings, so that the remote participant feels like he or she understands what's actually happening in the meeting. You can pick up on visual cues. There's a lot that's unsaid that just shows up in the visual cues. And then you layer on top of it what you've been actually spearheading with speaker attribution and really being able to work with you guys on things like what we're doing with the Right Sound 2 technology on our side to be able to capture the audio streams, send it to Microsoft Teams cloud environment so that you can actually attribute Prakash said this in a meeting and look, this is his frame. So super cool to see this come.
And I see Sight behind me on the right here.
Yeah.
Such a cool product. Like you said, so important to have when we're sitting in a meeting room physically, we're pretty smart with our eyes. We can look at multiple places at once, change gaze. Very hard traditionally to do that with a single viewpoint anywhere in the room. Having that multiple set of viewpoints and then the AI that you're working on to shift those around, again, delivers that more natural experience. And moving forward, partnering with you, we're actually working on automated camera switching.
Yeah.
So we can augment that even further with the cameras in people's laptops over time with more cameras from you and others that can be positioned in more spaces in the room. So again, just having that full view and understanding of the space, I think will be super important.
It's super cool. So we have you here, Illya, so I have to ask this question. So we have kind of started, if I can use modestly the word, conquering the meeting room with your help, and Microsoft Teams taken a huge part of this. What's next? What do you think is coming next beyond meeting rooms?
Well, we've certainly hit on some of this in terms of having much better audio and video experiences, smarter understanding of who said what. I think one of the things I'm most excited about is something we announced a little while ago at Build called Team CoPilot and Team CoPilot on Teams rooms.
Yep.
So today, the CoPilot you and I have, that's our CoPilot. I can ask it for a recap of a meeting that I was in. You can do that. Team CoPilot is an agent that works on behalf of a group. And the way I like to think of it is a coworker that's always available that I can ask to join a group chat, a channel, or a meeting and work on the behalf of that group. It's really kind of like having an interpreter, note taker, facilitator, timekeeper, whiteboard artist available in any space, even if by the way, it's an offline meeting.
Yep.
So coming later this year to Teams Room, we can walk into a space, even if there's not a Teams meeting, we can ask CoPilot on MTR to start taking notes. We can ask it to create a digital whiteboard of what we've been talking about.
That's pretty cool.
And really, the possibilities are endless. But I think that idea of having a great coworker to work on my behalf, on your behalf, in any space in the office, that's something I'm very excited about.
I mean, I think for our audience listening, I mean, CoPilot has many, many use cases. But the one big use case that I see, routinely being used in our offices and on certainly the customers we talk to is meeting effectiveness. Like, how do you get more effective with meetings? And what you're talking about just goes right to the heart of that one huge use case. This is what most corporate life is. Most enterprise spend so much time on meetings, and you are going to have meetings, and that is the best way to run certain things. But you want to make it more productive, and this is a if we can each gain even a few minutes of our life back, that's big impact.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question for you though. Talking about gains for the world, I just came back from a trip to Europe.
Yeah.
And top of mind for every customer I met with was sustainability in the environment and making smarter choices with all of their investments.
Yeah.
I know it's something Logitech cares deeply about. So help me and maybe our audience.
Thank you, Illya, for asking that question. I think, like you mentioned, this AI is this like generational moment where this is happening. And I think sustainability is also that generational moment that is happening at the same time. So then these two things are kind of coinciding almost from a timing perspective. So we've focused as Logitech on sustainability for quite a number of years. And we've really taken two key pillars of our strategy, if you will, because we make physical things and they generate a footprint.
Yep.
And the first step was for us to actually really think about how do you design these products to be more sustainable, and then how do you make them more circular, because we're going to run out of materials if you start making more things in the world. So we put in place this program to actually drive what we call recycled plastics, post-consumer recycled plastics. So if you go out and buy any of our meeting devices, they already have recycled plastics in them. 2/3 of our products today across our entire portfolio uses recycled plastics. And the key idea there was to really redesign, ground up that whole value chain. So we worked with recyclers, we got the waste back, and then we put that back in new resin, made new parts, and now that's one element. And then we've done similar things with printed circuit boards. You can imagine the next set of things with recycled copper, recycled batteries one day. And the key goal here for us was really designing for the products to be as low footprint as possible. And within that context, one of the things we've done in the video space as well is to actually make things more energy efficient, so that you can go on sleep modes with assistance from what happens with Microsoft Teams at the cloud level, put things on sleep, wake them up, so that you actually save energy in the room, and it comes back up right on cue. But you have that few minutes where you're actually optimizing for the time that is not being used at all. And the last thing we're looking at is circularity. Like, how do you actually make sure that you get things back? We have a great services program for those of you listening. We have a collect and recycle program as part of our services. So if you have old equipment in your buildings, now it doesn't have to be Logitech, can be anybody's. We take it back, responsibly recycle it. And then once we recycle it, put it back in flow. My ambition as one of the key guys trying to drive this at Logitech is really to make this so circular, independent of Logitech. Just, any competitor listening to this should also reach out to us, because we want to work together with others to actually make we have only one planet. So, we need to make this work.
I was about to say that. I, just want to thank you, maybe on behalf of my kids, and just commend you. It's easy to say use PCR. I know it's actually hard. You have to design.
Yeah.
It's not the same characteristics as virgin plastic. You have to design things to maybe be stronger, have extra bracing. You have to put a lot of effort into getting stuff back and reusing it. But like you said, only one planet. So it's such a commendable initiative.
Thank you. And I think for some of our customers, one of the things that I've heard is you talked about some of the customers in Europe. They want to know, what is their footprint? What is the carbon footprint that generates? And, we were the first company to carbon label all our products. We are almost done, like 80% there. So by end of next year, we'll have all our products carbon labeled. So it'll tell you exactly what the footprint is of sourcing, making, all the way to end of life and consumer use phase. And the goal there is so that you can actually understand what is the footprint. And I'm hoping that the same mechanism can then be tied with things like a display in a wall, the total units that actually are in different spaces, whether it's a huddle room, a big room, small room, at a desk.
Yep.
So you can actually quickly get to this, and this should help our customers.
Absolutely.
Well, Illya, thank you for your time. I know this is a busy schedule, and Infocomm this year is huge, and we're so delighted to be here. It was packed. And for those of you listening, we have live demos of many of the things that Illya and I talked about today at our booth. Do check us out. And thank you again, Illya.
Thank you. What an amazing partnership. Thank you again.
Bye-bye.